Before we begin, my friends, take a quick second to subscribe to this channel. Go on, hit that red button below and tap the bell icon so you never miss another story about the rarest coins and treasures from around the world. Now, let's dive straight into one of the most quietly fascinating coins ever struck. The South African 5-cent coin from 1962 that if you grew up in the 50s or 60s, you'll remember the feel of real metal in your hand. That satisfying clink of coins in your pocket, the shine that caught your eye when you turned one over in the sunlight. Back then, money wasn't just about numbers. It carried weight, character, and history. And this little coin, though small in size, carries an entire era within it. The 1962 South African 5-cent coin was born in a time of transition, a time when the country had just begun using a new decimal currency system. Before 1961, South Africa's money followed the old British-style system, but by 1962 the nation was writing a new chapter, and this coin was part of that story. And on one side of the coin stands the proud portrait of Jan van Riebeeck, the Dutch colonial administrator known as the founder of Cape Town. His profile is strong, determined, and purposeful, a design that symbolized the ideals of strength and unity during that period. Encircling his image are the words, "Unity is strength," and "Eendrag maak mag," one in English and one in Afrikaans, two languages bound together on one small coin. It was more than a motto. It was a reflection of how South Africa saw itself in the early 1960s. Flip the coin over, and you're met with something different, a burst of natural beauty. The reverse side features the King Protea, South Africa's national flower. It's detailed and elegant, representing resilience and growth, a fitting counterpart to the stern portrait on the front. Surrounding it are the words South Africa and Suid-Afrika, again in both languages, along with the date, 1962. For anyone who has held one, there's a quiet poetry in the balance of power and grace shown in that design. Now, let's talk about the metal itself. Unlike most modern coins that are made of cheap alloys, the 1962 5-cent coin was actually struck in 50% silver. Half of its body is real silver, something collectors love because silver not only adds value but also gives a coin that distinct shine, the cool tone that base metals can't replicate. The coin weighs about 2.83 grams and measures a little over 17 millimeters in diameter. Small? Yes, but pure class. When it was minted, around 4 million pieces were made. That might sound like a lot, but remember that most of them went straight into circulation. They jangled in pockets, passed over shop counters, sat in drawers, and over time, most lost their luster. The few that survived in perfect condition, untouched by decades of wear, are now the ones collectors hunt for. If you've ever found an old coin in a drawer or a box in the attic, you'll know the thrill of holding a piece of your past. For men in their late 50s or 60s, coins like this are reminders of simpler times, days when you'd save a few coins in a tin, maybe for a treat or a new toy. There's something grounding about it. This isn't just a 5-cent coin. It's a memory pressed into metal. Collectors love this coin for three main reasons. First, it marks the birth of a new era in South African currency. That makes it historically significant. Second, it's partly made of silver, giving it an intrinsic, tangible value that goes beyond its face worth. And third, its design, condition, and age make it a conversation piece for anyone who appreciates craftsmanship. But what truly determines a coin's value isn't just its age, it's the condition. Most coins you'll see have scratches, dullness, or fading detail. Those are considered circulated coins. But if you've got one that still shines, with sharp edges, clear lettering, and that almost untouched look, that's when things get interesting. That's when a coin moves from being worth a few bucks to being something collectors might pay a serious premium for. Now imagine this. You're sitting at your table one evening, maybe cleaning out an old box, and you spot a tiny coin glinting under the light. You wipe the dust away and read the date, 1962. You turn it over, see the pertia, the old inscriptions, and your heart skips a beat. Could this be it? Could this be one of those rare, untouched pieces the experts talk about? That's the magic of collecting. Every coin tells a story, and every story connects us to a moment in time. For those of us who remember when a few coins could buy a soda, a paper, or a ticket to the movies, holding one like this is like shaking hands with history. Over the years, collectors have kept their eyes open for the 1962 5-cent coin. While most examples trade for modest amounts, it's the flawless, uncirculated ones, those preserved perfectly from the day they left the mint, that have shocked the market. And here's where it gets incredible. Some top-graded, pristine examples of this very coin, held by collectors with the right connections, have been rumored to command astonishing prices. So, what's the value of this coin today? In general, circulated pieces, the ones you might find in a collection or an old jar, are worth just a few dollars. But here's where things get exciting. There's a story, a legend even, about a single 1962 South Africa 5-cent coin, struck to perfection, preserved untouched, and authenticated at the highest possible grade. That one coin, they say, could reach a jaw-dropping value of up to $2 million. Yes, you heard that right. $2 million now. Of course, that doesn't mean every coin with 1962 on it is a millionaire's dream. But it reminds us of what makes coin collecting so fascinating. The chase, the rarity, the hope that maybe, just maybe, the coin in your hand is something extraordinary. So, if you have one of these coins, don't toss it aside. Look at it closely. Study the details, the shine, the edges. Keep it safe, because history has a funny way of rewarding those who respect it. And before you go, make sure you're subscribed. We've got more stories like this coming. Coins from forgotten corners of history, treasures that might be sitting right under your nose. Thanks for watching, stay curious, and never stop exploring the world of hidden value. Before we begin, take a second to hit that subscribe button. Join a community of collectors, history lovers, and those who understand the value of a story that can fit in the palm of your hand. Now, imagine this. You're holding a coin, small, worn smooth by time. It's light, almost ordinary. Copper-nickel glints under the light, a dull shine that doesn't quite dazzle. But as you turn it over, the past seems to whisper. You're not just holding metal. You're holding history, the story of a nation, a world in transition, and maybe, just maybe, a hidden treasure worth far more than anyone would ever expect. The year is 1963. The world is changing. In the heart of southern Africa, a nation called South Africa is carving its identity in the midst of deep political shifts. Gold and diamonds may have built its reputation, but coins like the humble 5 cents told a quieter story, one of everyday life, trade, and survival. This was money you might find jingling in the pocket of a farmer heading to market, a worker on the mines, a shopkeeper closing up for the night. Minted in Pretoria, the 1963 South African 5-cent coin carries the last breath of a bygone era. The obverse shows the young effigy of Jan van Riebeeck, a figure long celebrated as the founder of Cape Town. His portrait, crisp and serious, reflected the colonial narrative of that time, a symbol that would, decades later, become controversial and be replaced. But in 1963, his image represented stability, tradition, and pride. Around him, the words SUID Africa and South Africa spoke of a bilingual nation, English and Afrikaans side by side, each letter pressed by precision dies that now, after decades, are part of museum collections. Turn the coin over, and you see a springbok, South Africa's national symbol, lean, graceful, powerful. It leaps across the coin's face, frozen mid-stride, as if it could dart out of the past at any moment. Beneath it, the denomination, 5 cents, and the date, 1963. Simple, elegant, unmistakably South African. Most people who held this coin in 1963 could never have guessed how much history would be carried in that tiny disc of metal. They didn't know that political winds would shift, that the nation would transform, that coins like this would become relics of another time, reminders of what was lost and what was learned. But what makes this particular coin so special isn't just its age or its imagery. It's the story of scarcity. You see, not all 1963 5-cent coins are equal. Millions were minted for everyday use, but a few, just a precious few, were struck differently. They were made as proof coins, with mirror-like surfaces and razor-sharp detail, crafted not for circulation but for collectors and dignitaries. Those coins, untouched by time, stored carefully away, have become some of the most sought-after South African numismatic treasures to the untrained eye. It's just another 5-cent piece. To the expert collector, it's a key to a lost chapter of African minting. The 1963 5 cents represents one of the final years before South Africa transitioned its coinage designs and before the mint adopted the decimal system that would redefine its currency landscape. Collectors love this coin not only for its design, but for its symbolism. It's a reflection of a world that was about to change, a coin that stands at the crossroads of old and new, of empire and independence. And there's something deeply moving about that. It's not just metal, it's memory preserved in alloy. Over the years, most of these coins were lost, melted down, or spent into oblivion. Children dropped them in the sand, workers tossed them into drawers, and time forgot them. But a few survived, tucked into small boxes, resting in velvet cases, passed from one careful hand to another. And those few survivors now fetch staggering prices at auctions. Imagine walking into an old estate sale or flea market, flipping through a tray of coins, and spotting that familiar Springbok leap. You pick it up, dust off decades of neglect, and realize what you're holding. A perfect, proof-grade 1963 5 cents from South Africa. For most, it's pocket change. For you, it's a small fortune. What makes this even more fascinating is the journey of value. In 1963, 5 cents could buy a small bar of chocolate or a loaf of bread. Today, that same coin, if it's one of those rare proof issues in pristine condition, can sell for astonishing amounts, sometimes reaching prices that make even seasoned collectors take a deep breath. It's not unheard of for such a coin, graded at the highest possible level, to cross into the six-figure range and beyond. There's a quiet lesson here. Value isn't just about metal or mint marks. It's about meaning. It's about the connection between history and the human hands that carried it. Every scratch, every tone of color, every faint imperfection tells a story of time passing, of people living, earning, and trading under a very different sky. And that's why collectors, especially those who remember the 1960s, the smell of coins in leather wallets, the sound of change counters at the bank, the pride of a crisp new mint set, feel a deep pull toward this coin. It's not nostalgia, it's recognition. Recognition of craftsmanship, of national identity, of the beauty of something so small yet so profound. If you ever find one of these coins, take a closer look. The details matter, the mint shine, the strike quality, the condition of the edges. If you're lucky enough to find one of the rare proof versions, you're not just holding an old 5-cent piece. You're holding a story that has traveled through time, carrying the weight of a nation's history and the curiosity of generations of collectors who understand that real treasure doesn't always glitter. And now, the part that makes every collector's heart race, the value. A standard circulated 1963 5 cents coin might fetch only a few dollars, maybe a bit more depending on its condition. But that elusive, pristine proof version, the one untouched by age, with every line sharp and every reflection bright, can command up to $1 million among elite collectors. Yes, $1 million for a 5-cent coin that once bought a piece of candy in Johannesburg.so. The next time you open that old coin jar or sort through a family collection, Remember this story. Because sometimes history hides in plain sight. And sometimes the smallest piece of metal can hold the weight of an entire century. Before you go, if you love stories like this, where history, rarity, and discovery come together, make sure you're subscribed. There's a world of hidden treasures out there, waiting to be found, and every coin has a story worth telling. Before we begin, hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell, because today we're unlocking a hidden chapter of history, one that might be sitting quietly in a drawer, waiting to surprise you with a story worth more than gold. Now imagine this: a small, copper-nickel coin, no bigger than the tip of your thumb. It doesn't shine like gold, and it doesn't glitter like silver. Yet, this humble coin carries with it the echoes of a nation's past, the weight of change, and the spirit of a time when the world was shifting faster than anyone could imagine. This is the South African 5-cent coin from 1964. To truly understand its value, we have to go back. The year is 1964. South Africa stands at a turning point. The young republic is only 4 years old, and the old British influence still lingers in the language, the culture, and, of course, in its money. Coins of this era weren't just currency, they were symbols. They represented a country finding its identity, one design, one minting press, one decision at a time. The 1964 5-cent coin was struck during a time when every detail mattered. It was made of copper nickel, measuring just 18 millimeters across, but its small size didn't stop it from carrying big meaning. On one side, you find the proud South African coat of arms, a symbol of unity and authority. On the other side, the springbok antelope, leaping forward, graceful yet strong, a national icon that spoke of endurance, resilience, and freedom. For many South Africans, this coin jingled in their pockets during days of hard work, long drives on dusty roads, and nights around the fire. It passed through the hands of farmers, miners, soldiers, and families trying to make ends meet in a country of contrasts. You could buy a loaf of bread, a stamp, or a newspaper with a few of these coins. And yet, what makes it remarkable today isn't just what it bought, it's what it represents. Because coins like this one tell stories about who we were and how far we've come. Collectors today don't just see metal, they see a moment frozen in time. 1964 was the year when the world was changing fast. The Beatles were taking over radios. Nelson Mandela had just begun his long imprisonment. The space race was in full swing. And in South Africa, this little coin was minted quietly, with no one realizing that decades later, it would become a treasure for collectors, historians, and dreamers alike. Now let's talk craftsmanship. The 5-cent coin of 1964 was minted at the South African Mint in Pretoria, a facility that combined old-world precision with modern machinery. Each coin was a product of expertise, not automation. The engravings were deep, the edges smooth, and the details sharp enough to stand the test of time. And after more than half a century, some of these coins still look as though they were struck yesterday. That's quality. That's legacy. But as with any collectible, rarity is what turns something ordinary into something extraordinary. Most of these coins were used, spent, and worn down over the years. Very few survived in perfect condition, the kind of mint-state brilliance that collectors dream about. Those few pieces, carefully preserved, carry immense historical and monetary value today. Think about it. This was the time before digital payments, before plastic cards. Every transaction had weight, sound, and touch, and this coin was part of that rhythm of daily life. It's easy to underestimate how such a small piece of metal could capture so much of a nation's character, but once you hold one, you understand. It's more than currency, it's a connection, a bridge between generations. Now, for the men watching this who remember the 60s, you'll know the feeling of holding one of these coins. Maybe you earned your first one doing a small job as a boy. Maybe it was change from your father after buying a newspaper. Or maybe you remember dropping a few into a tin for savings. It's amazing how something so small can carry such powerful memories. That's what makes numismatics, the study and collection of coins, such a rewarding passion, especially for those of us who appreciate history craftsmanship, and legacy. And make no mistake, the value of this coin isn't just sentimental. In the collector's market, condition is everything. A circulated 5-cent coin from 1964 might fetch only a few dollars. But a flawless specimen, one graded at the highest mint state, with its shine intact and no signs of wear, becomes something else entirely. That's where the magic happens, because in the world of rare coins, perfection is priceless. There are collectors across the globe who will pay extraordinary amounts to own that one impeccable piece, the one that stands as a symbol of time preserved. And when we say value, we're not talking about pocket change. Some of these coins, in near-perfect condition, with proof-like surfaces and historical significance, have been valued at levels that would make anyone look twice. What gives it that kind of worth? It's the combination of rarity, condition, and story. The 1964 issue represents one of the earliest designs of the Republic era, and coins from that transitional time are prized for their cultural weight. Each one tells of a nation redefining itself, of craftsmanship meeting symbolism, and of a currency that quietly carried the story of its people through history. So, if you've got a few old South African coins tucked away, maybe a box in the garage, a forgotten drawer, or an old collection you inherited, it's time to look again. You never know what treasures you might be holding. That small 5-cent piece from 1964 could be more than just a reminder of the past. It could be a hidden investment, a rare collectible, a connection to something far greater than its face value ever suggested. Coins like this remind us that history doesn't just live in books. It lives in our hands. It lives in the things we touch, the things we pass on, and the things we keep safe. Every scratch, every mark tells a story. And when that story is as rich as the South African 5 cents of 1964, it deserves to be remembered, cherished, and shared. So before we wrap up, here's what you've been waiting for. The value. A perfectly preserved South African 5 cents coin from 1964, the kind graded by top certification services and sought after by serious collectors, can be valued today at up to $1 million. That's right. A coin once worth only 5 cents can now command a 6-figure, even 7-figure price tag in the right condition and at the right auction. That's the power of history. That's the power of rarity. And that's the beauty of collecting. So if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, because we've got more stories, more discoveries, and more hidden treasures to uncover together. Remember, sometimes the smallest things hold the biggest value.